Hey, what's up, guys? Houston here. Look, if you're considering joining PenFed, okay, there are some things that I would definitely encourage you not to do, especially if you have bad credit, because all it's going to do is end up wasting an inquiry, all right? And so I'm going to give you the breakdown in terms of when you join PenFed, in terms of when should you go for a credit card, when should you go for a personal loan. Now, here's the situation with PenFed. Now, the average credit score to get approved with PenFed is around a 620. However, if you have less than a 620 credit score, what's going to happen, you need to garden the relationship with PenFed. And so what that means is that you would open up a savings account with them with $5. And I would encourage you to open up a checking account with them as well. All right. And then if you're able to do direct deposit, that would be good also. And possibly they may be offering like a CD or a money market account, something like that. The reason is because they do have an internal score as well. All right. Just like Navy Federal has an internal score, PenFed has an internal score. And what that means is basically what type of relationship that you have with them, how long you had a relationship with them. All right. Now, this is important, especially if you have bad credit. Now, if you have bad credit and you're trying to get funding from PenFed, then you would have to nurture the relationship for about 6 months. Okay, and you definitely it's beneficial if you have multiple accounts. Now, here's another thing. If you are not able to do direct deposit with them, what you can do, you can take a portion of your income, put it into the checking account, and pay some of your bills through that checking account that you opened up with PenFed, so they can see some activity. All right, this is very important. And a lot of people wonder why they went over to PenFed and they applied for a credit card or a loan and they got denied. It's because if you have bad credit, you don't have a rapport with them. You don't have a relationship with them. All right, so that's the number one thing. Now, if you're out of a bankruptcy, usually with their bankruptcies, they want you to be the bankruptcy to be seasoned at least 6 to 8 months as well. Okay, so they are bankruptcy friendly because with some financial institutions, they want to see you out of your bankruptcy up to 4 years. So for them to just want to see you out of your bankruptcy for 6 months, trust me, that's very good. All right, so that means that they're willing to work with you. Now, that being said, here's the thing about it with the credit cards. All right. Now, also, there's a such thing as double dipping, all right? So that means that when they do a hard pull to approve you for a credit card, you can apply for multiple credit cards. How I would probably tell you, I would wait maybe a few weeks in between the two to see if you get any other offers. Now, one of the things about it, when people apply for credit cards with PenFed, they would just go for any credit card. They may go for the platinum or the cashback. Well, I would tell you, especially if you're just joining them, I would not go for these credit cards, all right? The credit card that you want to go for, all right, is this card here. It's the Gold Visa card. The reason is because you can get 0% interest on purchases and balance transfer. So if you have say that you have another credit card that you possibly maxed out and you're paying a lot of interest on it, you can transfer that balance over to this card so you're not paying that high interest anymore. All right. Now, that's one thing. And just by the way, with PenFed, if you max out the credit card, of course, it still applies the same, that it can affect your credit score because it pushes up your debt to income ratio. Speaking of debt to income ratio, one of the other things you have to understand with PenFed, like any other regular institution, their DTI, debt to income ratio, goes anywhere from 45 up to 55%. If you go over that 55%, then you have a higher chance of denial. Now, again, with the personal credit cards, they're going to pull your Equifax FICO 9. All right. Now this is very good. The reason is because with your FICO 9 scoring system, that scoring model, you're allowed, just like your Vantage scoring model, you're allowed to add authorized users. Now there's certain type of authorized users I would tell you that you should be adding. You have to be very careful which ones that you're going to add. All right. You can add authorized users. You can add subscription payments. You can add utility bills as well as adding rent payments to help boost up your FICO 9 scoring. All right. So that's the reason that when I'm looking at financial institutions, I'm looking for two things. If they're FICO 9 or are they a Vantage? The reason is because I know that I have other data metrics that would make it up so to push my score up higher. Now, another good thing about PenFed credit card, because you can do a pre-qual and they'll tell you what you pre-qualify for plus the limit they're willing to give you. All right. So that's another thing that's very important. And with PenFed personal loans, again, you don't have to have a high credit score. Like with Navy Federal, you don't know what the data metrics is with Navy Federal and their personal loans, okay? So people will get multiple pledge loans added to their Navy Federal account, right? And that still does not help you get a personal loan. So where people get confused at is, okay, what are the actual data metrics? That's one credit union that doesn't show the data metrics on that. Now, with the data metrics with Navy Federal, in terms of if you get a pledge loan, if you have bad credit, in rewards, checking account, savings account, maybe a money market account or something like that, that will give you a higher internal score. Okay, now the internal score is actually helpful for a credit card, but it has nothing to do with loans. So some of you guys may be wondering, why didn't they give me a personal loan, but they're willing to give me a $25,000 credit card, and I only have a 580, 590 credit score with Navy Federal? Okay, so that's some things that you definitely have to keep in mind. Now, going back to PenFed, understanding that with PenFed, even with a 620 credit score, again, they will approve you for a personal loan. Now, here's the thing about it. Usually, with the personal loans with PenFed, they will pull an Experian, okay? Now, some have said that that hard inquiry will not show up on the credit file because you already have a relationship with them. All right, so they may or may not actually show in the hard inquiry for when you apply for the personal loan. Now, what I would do is I would more likely go and I would apply for the credit card. I would apply for the credit card. Okay, and this is the credit card I'll go for, and then apply for the loan. Now, some people want to know, well, what would be the next credit card? Now, in terms of going for the next credit card, once you have this credit card, because depending on what the limit is. Now, here's another thing that a lot of people are confused about in terms of what limit they're going to give me. Well, again, how old is the credit report? All right. Usually, if your credit report is 2 to 5 years old, you're going to get higher limits. You're going to start seeing at $5,000, $10,000. All right. Also, your income. What's your overall income? Again, tied into your debt to income ratio. So this is where I tell people, hey, look at the overall household income that's contributed to help you paying your expenses. All right, so that means that if you have a spouse, they have income, you need to include that income as well. Now, another data metrics that's very important in terms of how much you're spending on rent or mortgage. Now, here's the interesting thing about it. The data metrics on that. Usually, if you say that your overall monthly household income is at a certain amount, rental payments or mortgage payment, they usually want to be below 25%. I usually say 15 to 20%, but you want to try to see if it's about 25%. Sometimes they will, it's okay if you go at 30, but once you get over that 30% with your rental or mortgage payments, now you're in trouble. Also, in terms of inquiries, all right, this is another interesting thing about it. Always tell people that when you're applying for credit cards and stuff like that, you want to try to keep your inquiries around 6, 8 max, but 6 is pretty much the threshold in terms of when you're applying for funding and stuff. All right, so that's very important. All right, in order to make sure that you're going to get approved. All right, now if you have any other questions about how to get business credit funding, personal credit funding, how to remove negative items off of the credit, click the link in the description. Schedule a one-on-one consultation. Thank you.